All right, so in today's tutorial, we're going to try to start controlling our cube and controlling the rate in which the size changes based on a variable. But before we get there, we are going to want to think through how we're going to do that. Just because if we don't, it's going to be really easy to get confused and kind of turned in the wrong direction. So to think through that, we're going to go over into a text editor, and I'm going to walk you through my process of thinking through functionality in advance. And you'll be able to use this anytime you want to do something and you're not sure how you're going to do it. And it works well for me. There's a lot of different ways to do pseudocode, but this is one way that, if you follow it, will work pretty consistently. So let's go through that. All right, so we're going to think through what we want to do, and the first thing would be to come over here into our script and just start trying stuff. I'm really going to discourage that, just from the point of view of, like we said before, not getting turned around and going down blind alleys. So I'm going to go over here into this program. It's notational velocity. It's just my text editor. But the main idea being, this is not a code editor. This is just text, so that we're not tempted to start trying things until we've got our heads on straight. And I'm going to give you a series of steps that you can follow, and I'll include a document in the description, kind of breaking this down in more detail. But so the first thing that I usually do is I capture the requirements of what we want to do. So what are if this thing works correctly, what is it going to need to do? So, and there are two parts of this as far as I know. So the first one is we should be able, and a good way to do this is to use a should statement. What should this script be able to do? So we should be able to change, we should be able to incrementally change the size of a game object until it reaches a specified change amount. Okay? That's what we were talking about. But I took that general idea that we had about what we wanted to do and turned it into a specific statement about, this is exactly what I want to achieve. And so this isn't fully capturing what we want. So in this, we can specify the change amount, but we can't specify how quickly it changes. So we should be able to specify the rate in which the object changes. Okay? So these two requirements capture everything that we want this piece of functionality to do. This is why a modular approach, like not trying to do too many things at once, works, because the fewer requirements you have, the less there is to think through, the easier it is to come up with a good solution. Next, now that we've got our requirements, we want to come up with the different variables that we think are going to be involved in fulfilling these two requirements, and we're going to try to name them. So first, we've got change amount, which is the variable that we already have. Just do here variables, and then so change amount is going to represent the target change, the end change amount that we're going to move toward. And actually, let's go ahead, just for clarity's sake, we're going to call that final change amount. Okay, so this is what we're moving toward. Next, because we're incrementally changing over time, and this is the part that will kind of come with experience, like being able to think through how this would work. But because we're going to be incrementally changing, we're going to need a variable to represent where we currently are as we're changing, so that, because it's going to be changing incrementally, if we don't store where we are, then there's no way to do that. So I'm going to create another variable called current change amount. And then we need the variable to represent how much change should occur in each increment. So we need and I think we'll call that just change increment. Or actually no, just for more clarity, we'll call that change speed. It's the speed of the change. Okay, so this part, naming these variables and making sure they're clear, it's really important to not getting confused. So we could have made this, I could have kept this as change amount and current change amount. But that's a little bit more confusing. So final tells me, okay, this is where it's ending up, this is where it is now. So that's a little bit more clear. And really spending time at this variable stage and saying, okay, what exactly are the things I need to work with, and then coming up with names for them that are specific makes it easier for the next stage when we actually think about how we're going to use those variables. And that is what we will talk about in the next tutorial.